I'm going to test out my new axe I got from Rob at canteenshop.com. I've already done some test pieces. Looks like there's a fair amount of fat wood. There, I think you can see it there, off this old stump. So I'm going to hand the camera to Doug and take some off. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, good stuff. Man, there's just a ton here. Down on it. Only down low. Oh yeah. Oops. Okay, go ahead and hit stop. Go where? It's right there.
Thanks, Mike. Hey everybody, Cable Guy Ken coming to you live once again from his front yard. I'll finish up the review on this wetterlings large bushcraft or large hunter's axe. As you can see, it comes with a really nicely made head cover for it, riveted with heavy brass rivets, good heavy strap, so you don't have to worry about it cutting through anything in your pack if you fall. You know, say you wear it down through your belt. If you were to take a fall, that cover will keep that blade from slicing into you. I'm going to be comparing this to the Pathfinder knife only because I've always said, and I know a lot of people agree, there's no perfect knife for bushcraft. But if you practice with your tools, then you can make it perfect. You just got to learn how to work with it. Now the Pathfinder knife is as close to perfect as I've found yet for all that it does. Of course it doesn't saw, but if you need to make notches you can still do it with this. But this large bushcrafter's axe, or the large hunter's axe, is probably as close to being a perfect tool as you can find as far as a one tool option, at least in most of the woods that I'm in. I know not everybody's going to agree with me. It depends on personal preference, personal opinion, and your personal skill level. Now, I have not done a lot of work with an axe using it as a primary tool, so this is going to be kind of new for me, but I do appreciate the opportunity to do this, the opportunity to use this, you know, to a good deal. I do want to thank my brother for sending it to me. I'd say overall the head is probably maybe 2.5 inches of cutting area, and I will give you some close-ups on this when we're done. Give you some close-ups of the quality and all of this piece. The heads are hand forged using a hammer forge in Sweden. Don't know the exact nomenclature of the steel that they use, but it is a high carbon steel. It's their own special steel. You can see the end comes polished to a great deal, and it is extremely sharp. But let's get on with let's start the comparison test here in my little review of this. Now, the Pathfinder knife, if you had to do any chopping, obviously you're not going to try to chop through anything like this big chunk of cedar here. I've got this here to use as a base. As y'all all know, I don't like cutting into the dirt. Too many chances of hitting rocks and stuff and rolling your edge, damaging your tool. But I got a good piece of wood here, probably, I will say 1.5 inches, 2 inches diameter on the end. And if you were going to use this to start a fire with, or to use for firewood, get my hand back here a good bit. Now, I do have a little lanyard on the back of this so that I can grip back on it a little bit. That lanyard will keep it from flying out of my hand. I don't have a lanyard to wrap around my wrist, but that serves the same purpose for me. And I found with this knife, the best way to chop with it is to really get back on it. You get more of a snap cut. Now this is a real hard piece of oak. And I said, you can do it. Just takes a little bit more work. And of course, if you had a larger knife, a longer knife like the Spec Plus Marine Raider, that's not even with all that, it's not enough to just bend it and break it. A larger knife would have chopped through that with no problem, but you know, if you're going to carry a really large knife in this, why not just carry the Pathfinder in this axe, or like what I'm going to try to do here, just carry the small axe if you have to, because you could skin with this. It's obviously sharp enough to skin with. You could get in there and skin with it. The back pole back here is squared off for using as a hammer, for hammering your steaks and stuff, but you could use that to get in there and help spread the flesh from the skin if you needed to. But let's do this here. I'll make sure my platform's kind of steady and try to get this where the camera can. I'm hoping the camera's seeing this. I'll tell you what, we'll move back a little bit more just to make sure. And I'm keeping my hand as far away as I can, and I'm not. You can see I've choked up on this a good bit, and I'm not taking massive swings. I'm doing controlled cuts with this as much as I can, partly because I don't want to take the chance of skipping off and hitting myself. But as you can see, the natural flow of it is just going to go between my arm and my leg to a safe zone. So I'm trying to use as much caution as I can. And just taking little crisscross cuts out to try to weaken it. I know there are people out there that they're better with axes than I am. They know how to cut better than I do. But you know, that was, to me anyway, I spent probably less time. I'd have to look at the timeline on the video, but I spent less time chopping with the large axe than I did with the Pathfinder, and cut through it all the way, where with the Pathfinder I wasn't even halfway through from either side yet. See if we got something here. Got a piece of elderberry here. Let me cut a section of this off. Alright, now if you needed to make a tent stake out in the woods, in most cases you would take something like this and you go down to the end, make you a little point on it. Of course, now this is elderberry, so it's going to have a pithy center to it. I don't know if y'all can see that or not, but the center is real pithy. But even with it being pithy, yeah, you can still get a little bit of a tip to it to drive into the ground, and then make your little cuts in the back. And put you a notch in it so that you could drive this into the ground. Use that as a makeshift tent stake. Doing it with an axe isn't any different. We'll leave that one there and get another. I'll tell you what, to make it fair, we'll get the piece that I had right there, just to make it the same thickness and everything. The cedar's coming apart here, but With an axe, you can still do this the same way. You can take this and put your little point down on the end. Shake that up a little bit more. And like I said, I'm no axe man. I need to work on my axe skills a good bit. I already know that. But now I've got a point to drive into the ground, and you can rock that back a little bit and do the same thing here. I'm making real thin little controlled cuts into this, into that stop cut. And I've still got a little lip there that I've got a tent stake made out of. So I mean, it's no different than working with any other sharpened blade. It's just a little bit more practice is needed. If you needed to do controlled cuts on something a little bit harder, you can grab this, rest it in the palm of your hand and up against that meat of your thumb, and you can still do your pull cuts or your chest lever cuts, they call it. I'm assuming that you could still, it's a little bit more difficult to control because of the length of the handle, but, and I've never been a big fan of this style, even doing it with a knife, but you could do that, just practice with it a little bit. And if you needed to make you a fuzz stick, we'll get a little bit longer piece here. You can see it's not hard at all to start running curls off of this thing. I get a little pile of these and see if we can't do a little bit of a fire with them. Right now, y'all, I'm going to get this posted. This is our first video collaboration between me and Mike. Mike, I appreciate this. I appreciate the chance to, you know, work with you, if you want to call it that. And I appreciate everything you and Rob and everybody in the Pathfinder group's done for me. It really lifts your spirits a good deal. A lot more than I think you realize. So, for right now, y'all, Cable Guy Ken, we'll be catching you in the next one.